class. This video is for test 1 review for Math 1324. I'm just going to work through all the review problems that's in your review since we didn't have a chance to do it in class. So we'll start with the first one. The first one is solve this linear equation. So in order to solve this linear equation, you need to move the 7 by subtracting 7 first. Then you have 3x equals 4x minus 6. Then move the 4 by subtracting 4x. Then you have negative x equals negative 6. Then divide by negative 1, and you get x equals 6. So there's the first problem. Second problem is solve this linear equation. Thing with this linear equation is it has denominators that are whole numbers, and we want to get rid of them. So we're going to find the least common multiple of 3 and 2, which is 6. And we're going to multiply 6 by every single term. So we're going to multiply 6 here, and 6 here. Then what happens is 3 goes into 6 twice. That'll give us 2 times 2x. Then we have 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And then here, 2 goes into 6 3 times, which gives you 3 times x minus 2. Okay, then you distribute. This becomes 4x minus 6. This becomes 3x minus 6, because you got to go to both. Then at this point, it's the same as the first question. We're going to add 6 to both sides, subtract 3x from both sides, and we get x equals 0, which is the solution. Okay, number 3. The third problem is actually an inequality. So we have 3x minus 1 is less than 2x minus 1. So you're going to distribute the 3. That gives you 3x minus 3 is less than 2x minus 1. Then we're going to add 3 to both sides and subtract 2x from both sides. That'll give you x is less than 2. Now, one thing you have to remember when you have inequalities is if you ever divide both sides or multiply both sides by a negative number, you have to switch the direction of the inequality. We didn't do that here, but just as a reminder, you need to if you have it. If we were to have like negative 5x is less than negative 10, and we were to divide both sides by negative 5, it'd be x. We'd have to switch this to go this direction to get 2, okay? But we don't have that, just as a reminder. Now, I want this answer in interval notation. So in interval notation, you have the smallest value and the largest, okay? Smallest value, there isn't smallest. X keeps on going down, so it's negative infinity. The largest value is 2. Now, if there had been an equal sign, like if we had this, then your answer would be negative infinity to 2, and then you'd have a bracket because of the equal sign. Okay, this is the third question. Fourth question. Fourth question is they give us two functions, f of x equals x squared minus 3x, and g of x equals 2x minus 5. Okay, and then they give us a bunch of function operations. First is, what's f of 2? F of 2 is the f function where you replace x with 2. So you're going to plug 2 into the x value. So it's 2 squared minus 3 times 2, which is 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. B is f plus g. This is where you take the f function, which is x squared minus 3x, and you add the g function, which is 2x minus 5. Combine like terms, you get x squared minus x minus 5. Next is f minus g. This is the f function, which is x squared minus 3x minus g, which is minus 2x plus 5. Notice I changed both the signs here, both here and here. Okay, so they both change. Okay, then we combine like terms, and we get x squared minus 5x plus 5. D is f times g. That's f times g. We're going to have to FOIL it out. So you're going to multiply x squared by 2x, that's 2x cubed. X squared by 5, that's 5x squared. Then negative x times 2x is negative 2x squared. Negative x times 5 is negative 5x. Combine like terms, and we get 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 5x. Okay. Next is division. F divided by g, well, that's just f divided by g. Okay, and lastly is function composition, f of g. Function composition is where you plug g into the f function. So you're going to plug g into the f function. And when we do that, I always write out the f function. Here is the f function. And I plug in the g. Then I'm going to FOIL it out. So this becomes 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. This just distributes the negative. Here, 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 5 is 10x. 5 times 2x is another 10x. And then 5 times 5 is 25. And we still have minus 2x minus 5. Okay. Now we combine like terms. And we do that, we get 4x squared plus 18x plus 20. Okay. Next problem. The next problem is the derivative. So they want f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Okay. So hard part is f of x plus h. So I do that first. So f is, again, f of x equals x squared minus x. Okay, so then what's f of x plus h? Is anywhere you see an x in the f function, you replace it with x plus h, like this. There's the f function. I replaced x here and here with x plus h in parentheses. Okay, now you're going to FOIL it out. This is, this is x plus h times x plus h. This is minus x minus h. This gives you x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus x minus h. And this is f of x plus h. Okay? Now, so we have this part of the difference quotient. We need this part. This part's just the f function with the signs changed. So I'm going to do the f of x plus h. That's x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus x minus h, and then minus f of x, which is minus x squared plus x. Notice how we changed both the signs here on f of x. Okay, here and here. And then this whole thing over h. If you've done it right, a bunch of things should cancel. This cancels with this cancels with that, and then we're left with 2xh plus h squared minus h all over h. Now you're going to divide h in each of the terms, which reduces one of the h's from each term, which makes it 2x plus h minus 1. And that's our answer. All right, next question. Next question, number 6, is they're going to give you 2 points. 2, 3, and negative 1, 5. And they're going to ask us for the slope. So say find the slope. So the slope equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. Now I always label my points. This is x2, y2, x1, y1. So it's going to be 5 minus 3 over -1 minus 2, which is going to be 2 over -3. So -2/3, that's my slope. Now, the seventh question is they asked for the equation of the line given the 2 points above, given these 2 points here, okay? Well, for this, we're going to use the point slope equation, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, okay? Again, we have y1 and x1, so we're going to go y minus 3 equals -2/3 x minus 2, okay? Now, we're going to distribute this. So it's y minus 3 equals -2/3 x plus 4/3. Then we're going to add 3 to both sides. Then I need to combine these two. Okay. So 4/3 plus 3. 3 is really, this right here is really 9/3. So it's 4/3 plus 9/3, which is 13/3. So this will become y equals -2/3 x plus 13/3, and we're done. Okay. Next question is number 8. Give the equation of the line given a slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept of 4. This is all about, you remember this equation here, y equals mx plus b. If you do, you just plug it in. Y equals 2/3 x plus 4, and we're done. Number 9. Number 9, they're going to give us a linear equation. They're going to ask us to graph it using the slope-intercept form. So they say you have 4x plus 5y equals 10. Okay, they want the slope, they want the y-intercept, and they want the graph. Okay, so first to find the slope and the y-intercept, you got to put this in y equals mx plus b form. You do that by subtracting 4x from both sides. That'll give you 5y equals -4x plus 10. Then divide both sides by 5. So we're solving for y. This gives you -4/5 x plus 2. This is your slope. This is your y-intercept. Okay, so slope is your m, it's your y-intercept. Now we need to graph it. So to graph it, what you do is you're going to have a line like this. You're going to find 2 on the y-axis. That's the y-intercept. That's from here. Then we're going to take the slope. The slope says go down 4 over 5. So we're going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll go down 4 and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right here. So we went down 4 over 5, and then you just connect the dots, and we graphed it. Okay. All right, number 10. Number 10 is you have systems of linear equations that I want you to solve, and we got 2 of them. So solve for the system of linear equations. We have one system is 3x equals 6, and 4x minus 3y equals 5. Like this. They want us to solve it. This is set up for substitution. So what you do in substitution is you solve one of the equations for a variable. We're going to solve the top equation for x since they already have it. So you do that by dividing both sides by 3. You get x equals 2. Then we're going to substitute that value into the bottom equation. So we're going to take 2, we're going to plug it into here. So that's 4 times 2 minus 3y equals 5. Okay. So 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 3y equals 5. You subtract 8 from both sides. You get minus 3y equals -3. Then divide both sides by -3. We'll get y equals 1. Then we have our solution. Our solution is x equals 2, y equals 1. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one is solve the system of linear equation. And this one's a little bit harder. It's more likely going to be the one that's on the test. Okay, so here's your system of equation. We're going to use elimination here. So with elimination, you're going to multiply one of the equations by, you're multiplying the equations by variables so you can get them to match. So if we can get two of the variables to have the same coefficient minus the sign, so same coefficient but opposite sign, then we add the two equations together, they'll eliminate that variable, which is why this is known as elimination method. So I'm going to take the top equation and multiply it by 3, because 2 times 3 is 6, and then we'll have a 6x on top and a negative 6x on bottom. So when we add the equations, they're eliminated. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply this equation by 3. So top equation will become 6x plus 15y equals 72. Okay. Then we're going to add the two equations. So we're going to take these two equations here, add them together. What happens is these cancel. These, the 2y and the 15y become 17y. And then 30 plus 72 is 102. Okay. Then we're going to solve for y. So divide both sides by 17. Okay. So 17 goes in 102 actually 6 times. 6 times 17 is 102, so this gives you y equals 6. Now that we have solved y, you plug it back into one of the equations to solve for x. So I'm going to plug it into the top equation. So I'm going to take this and plug it into y here. Okay. So that'll give you 2x plus 5 times 6 equals 24. So this is 2x plus 30 equals 24. Subtract 30, and you get 2x equals negative 6. Then divide by 2, and you get x equals negative 3. And then we have our solution. So our solution is negative 3 comma 6. Okay. So that's question 10. Now let's move to question 11. Question 11 is multiple questions here for practice. So we'll go through each one. So these are factoring. So we're factoring in question 11. So part A is factor x squared minus 4x equals 12. So in order to factor, you need to move everything to the left-hand side, which I'll do by moving the 12 over. Okay, now we're looking for two factors of 12 that subtract to 4. So factors of 12 subtract to 4. Factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Okay, 2 and 6 subtract to 12, so it's going to be a positive 2 and a minus 6. So this will factor into x plus 2, x minus 6 equals 0, which will give me x equals negative 2 and x equals positive 6. Okay. B, 25x squared minus 16 equals 0. This is a squared minus b squared equals a minus b, a plus b. Okay, it's a formula. So this will then factor into 5x minus 4 times 5x plus 4 equals 0, which then will give us 4/5 from this one and negative 4/5 from that one. C is 5x squared plus 6 equals 11x. Okay. So we're again going to move everything to the left-hand side. When we do that, 11x becomes a negative, so it's 5x squared minus 11x plus 6 equals 0. Now we're going to do the AC method, which we learned in class. 5 times 6 is 30, so I'm looking for two factors of 30 to add to 11. Well, the factors of 30 are 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 6 and 5. Well, 6 and 5 add to 11, and since it's a negative 11, they both have to be negative. So then we're going to replace the middle number with minus 6x minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. I haven't changed anything because negative 6x minus 5x is negative 11. Then you're going to put in parentheses. But anytime you do that, I put the negative here and make that a plus. Okay? Because the negative should always stay inside the parentheses. Then factor something out of the first two terms. All we can factor out of the 5x squared minus 6x is x. So this gives you 5x minus 6. And then all we can factor out of the second parentheses is just a negative 1. That'll give you 5x minus 6 equals 0. If you've done it right, the two parentheses should be the same. So that'll give you 5x minus 6, x minus 1 equals 0. Then we're going to set each equal to 0 and solve. This will give you 6/5 when you set it equals 0, and this will give you a positive 1. And there's your two answers. Okay. D is x over x minus 1 equals 3x plus 1. So just like when we had fractions above, we had to find the LCM, least common multiple of the denominators. Okay? In this case, the LCM is x minus 1, x plus 1. So we're going to multiply each term by that LCM, x minus 1, x plus 1. We found it by just multiplying those two together. So we're going to have to do each term by it. There's 3 terms here. Okay. So do all 3 terms. Then we're going to cancel. The whole reason we're doing this is to get rid of the denominators. Notice this cancels with that. That leaves you with this x here and this x plus 1. So it's this x and the x plus 1. Next is minus 1 times nothing cancels, so we're going to have to write this out. And then equals, here the x plus 1's cancel, so it equals 3x minus 1. Okay, now we're going to distribute everything out, so x squared plus x, and then this is negative 1, x squared minus 1 equals 3x minus 3. Okay, I still have to distribute the negative 1 through the second set of parentheses here in the middle. So this will give you x squared plus x minus x squared plus x equals 3x minus 3. Notice the x squared is canceled, which is nice. Then we end up with 2x equals 3x minus 3. Subtract 3x from both sides, and you get negative x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 1, you get x equals 3. Now, because our original equation had denominators with variables, you need to make sure 3 doesn't make any of the denominators equal to 0, because you can't divide by 0. 3 doesn't make x minus 1, 0, or x plus 1, 0, so we're good. So it is actual answer. If it did, like let's say instead of getting x equals 3, we got x equals 1, we'd have to cross that answer out and it would end up with no solution. But we don't have that case, so this is our solution to that problem. Okay, lastly is x squared plus, it's e, x squared plus 2x equals negative 4. Add 4 to both sides. You have x squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0. We're looking for two factors of 4 that add to 2. There aren't any, so this is actually prime, but we've actually learned a way to do this. We've learned the quadratic equation. Quadratic equation states that if you have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, solution of this is x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. So A in our case is 1, because there's an understood 1 here. B is 2, and C is 4. Okay, so we're going to plug that all in, and we get x equals -2 plus or minus 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2 times 1. Okay, this gives you x equals -2 plus or minus square root of 4 minus 16 over 2. Okay, which gives you x equals -2 plus or minus square root of -12 over 2. -12, so 12 is 4 times 3. Okay, so 12 is 4 times 3. 4 we can take the square root of. Okay, so when you take square root of 12, it'll become square root of 4 times square root of 3. So that'll come out. So we can reduce the -12 to plus or minus 2 square root -3 over 2. Negatives inside a square root are imaginary numbers, they're i's. So it's going to be -2 plus or minus 2i square root 3 over 2. Now we can take the 2 and divide. So this will divide into this and that. And then you'll get -1 plus or minus I square root 3. And that's your final answer. Okay. Okay, so now we're moving on to 12. 12 is you're going to graph some parabolas. So we're going to graph some quadratic functions. The first one is a, y equals x minus 1/4 x squared. So I'm going to write it in descending order. Y equals -1/4 x squared plus x. Okay, I need to find the vertices. To find the vertices, we're going to use this equation, -b over 2a equals f of -b over 2a. Okay, to find the vertices, because we know this is a parabola. So b is 1 in this case. So this is be -1 over 2 times -1/4, which is -1 over -1/2, which the negatives cancel, and it's 1 over 1/2, which is actually just a 2. Okay, so that's our x value. Now to figure out our y value, you're going to plug the 2 into the function. Well, this is f of x here. Okay, so we're going to plug it in. So we're going to have -1/4 times 2 squared plus 2. Okay. That'll give you 4. -1/4 times 4 plus 2. This will give you -1 plus 2, which is +1. So we have our vertices. Our vertices is 2, 1. And I'm going to put that, when I create my table, I'm going to put 2, 1 in the center. Then I'm going to go down from 2. So 1, 0, -1, and then up from 2, go 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to plug them in. So remember our function is y equals -1/4 x squared plus x. So I plug 1 in, we're going to get -1/4, 1 squared plus 1, which is -1/4 plus 1, which is 3/4. Now this is a parabola, so parabolas repeat. So that makes this a 3/4 as well. Now we'll plug 0 in. If we plug 0 in, you're going to just get 0, because the x's will become zeros, which means 4 is also 0. Okay. Now, if we plug -1 in, we're going to get a fraction. So I'm going to plug in -2. If we plug -2 in, so I'm going to change this here. I don't want fractions, so I'm going to change this to -2 and +6. So plug -2 into there, you're going to get minus 1/4 times negative 2 squared minus 2, which equals minus 1 minus 2, which is negative 3, which makes this negative 3. So I'm going to use this, that, the vertex, and those. I won't use the fractions. I don't need to. And then I'm going to graph it. So now to graph it, you always graph the vertex first. So the vertex is 2, 1. That's the vertex. Then I'm going to go 0, 0, and 4, 0. Okay. And then I'm going to go negative 2. Gives you negative 3. Right there. And positive 6 also gives you negative 3 there. And this is my parabola. Okay. So that's the first parabola. Now, let's do, and it has a maximum at the vertex. So this is a max. They'll ask for that as well at the vertex. Okay, next question. So we have another one of these for practice. So part B. I have a lot more practice. Like the test is going to be a lot shorter than the review. So review just has tons of practice problems for things I think you struggle with. So minus 6x. Can't read my own notes here. Minus 6x plus 9. So again, we're going to use the vertex formula, which is negative b over 2a. And then we plug that negative b into the function over 2a. So b is negative 6. So it's negative of negative 6 over 2 times 1, which gives you 3. So x value is 3. Then we're going to plug 3 in. So that will give you 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 9. So this is 9 minus 18 plus 9, which gives me 0. So the vertex is 3, 0. And we know that a is 1. So we know this is actually concave up, which makes this a min instead of a max, unlike the previous one. So now I do my t-table. I'm going to write my function here so I don't forget it. X squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, xy, I put the vertex in the center. I'm going to go down 3. So 2, 1, 0, and up 3. 4, 5, 6, and then just plug them in. So you plug 2 in, you'll get 2 squared minus 12 plus 9, which is 13 minus 12, which is 1. That will make 4 also be 1 because it's a parabola. So it's going to repeat this pattern. Plug 1 in, you'll get 1 minus 6 plus 9, which is 10 minus 6, which is 4. So I'll give you 4, which makes this 4. Plug 0 in, you're going to get 9, which makes this 9. So now I'm going to graph it. To graph it, let's see, I'm going to scoot over here, make myself more room. So I graph the vertex first, which is 3, 0. Here's the vertex. Now at 2, you're 1. So here at 2 and 4, you're 1. And then at 1, you're at 4. And 5, you're also at 4. And then 0, you're at 9. 9. So, and at 6, you're at 9. So that's what this guy looks like. Okay. And that's how you do that problem. Okay. Moving on. Next one is rate of change, average rate of change. So 13 is they say find average rate of change. Okay. So they give you a function here. And I didn't give you points. I was supposed to. I told you in class just to make up your own. I'm just going to pick 2 points, 1 and 3, for my x's. Okay, so the average rate of change, the formula for this, is f of x2 minus f of x1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so the hard part is finding f of x2. So this is f of 3, and this is minus f of 1 from here. So f of 3 is 3 plugged into the function here and here. So it's going to be 9 minus 18 plus 9. So that f of 3 is going to give you 0. So this will be 0 here. F of 1 is going to give you 1 minus 6 plus 9, which is 10 minus 6. That'll give you 4. So on top we have 0 minus 4. On bottom, x2 is 3 minus 1. So this is negative 4 over 2, which becomes negative 2. So the average rate of change is minus 2 between those 2 points on that function. Okay. All right, so that's 13. By the way, all these formulas, I will give them to you on the exam. You don't need to memorize them. Okay, the next one is 14. 14, they're going to give you a cost function. And then a revenue function. And they're going to ask you for the profit equation, the break-even point, and the marginal profit. Okay. So to figure out the profit function, profit equals revenue minus cost. So that's 68x minus 34x minus 6,800. Remember, it's minus all of cost. So you got to change both the signs in the cost function, here and here. So that'll give you 34x minus 6,800, and this is your profit. So that's part A, find the profit. Part B, find the break even. Well, break even is when profit equals 0. So you're going to set this equal to 0. I'd add 6,800 to both sides. And you get 6,800 equals 34x. Divide both sides by 34. And you get 200. So the profit, or the break-even point, is when you produce 200 units. And then C is find the marginal profit. The marginal profit is the coefficient on the x term of the profit equation. In that case, marginal profit is 34. Because if you look up here in the profit function, here's the coefficient on the x term. That's all marginal profit is for you guys. Okay, so that's 14. 15. 15 is very similar to 14. It's just, instead of giving them the equations, they give us a variable cost, or marginal cost. That's what they call it in the thing. Marginal cost equals 45, and then they have a fixed cost equals 100,000, and they have the price of the product you're producing is 450. Okay, and then you're going to run through the same problem. You're going to find the profit equation, the break-even point, and the marginal profit. The hard thing here is you have to know that your cost equation consists of the marginal cost times x plus the fixed cost. Okay, so that makes the cost equation equal to 45x plus 100,000. Okay, then the other thing you need to know is the revenue equation always equals price times x when you have a company that can't set their own prices, that the price of the product is set by the market. Okay. So that, therefore, the price is 450x. So then profit again is revenue minus cost. So it's 450x minus 45x minus 100,000. So the profit is 405x minus 100,000. Okay, so that's the profit equation. That's A. Then the break-even point is you set this equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 100,000 divided by 405. So when we take, just a minute, 100,000 divided by 405, you get 24.9, or not 24, 246.9. 246.9. Okay, so that's our break-even point. So we can round that up to the nearest whole unit of 247. Okay, and then the marginal profit is again right here. It's 405. Okay, so that's 14. 16. 16 is they want the market equilibrium. The market equilibrium is when supply equals demand. So they're going to give you two equations. They're going to give you a demand equation. Demand is price equals negative 2Q plus 320. Means in order to sell more quantity, Q of something, the price has to drop. And then supply, it's going to be the opposite. P equals 8Q plus 2. So the price has to rise for more product to sell. Okay, and so what you're doing is you're setting these equal to each other. Fortunately, they're both solved for P. So we're going to go negative 2Q plus 320 equals 8Q plus 2. Okay, subtract or add 2Q to both sides. And then subtract 2 from both sides. So you get 318 equals 10Q divided by 10. And we get 31.8. That's our quantity. Okay, so then and this is our equilibrium quantity, which is Q star. Now we need our price. So you're just going to plug that in to one of the equations. It doesn't matter which. I'm plugging into the supply equation since I can see it there. So P equals 8 times 31.8 plus 2. Then I get out my calculator and I go 8 times 31.8 plus 2 equals 256.4. And this is my equilibrium price. Okay, so we've done the entire review. This review is substantially longer than the actual test. All the problems that had multiple parts, except for problem 4, there's only going to be one problem. So test is going to be about maybe a third of the actual length of this review, but I did extra problems on the ones I thought you might need extra practice on. So I will give you the equations like the point slope form, slope intercept form, equation of the slope, average rate of change equation, the derivative equation, and the quadratic formula. I'm not giving you profit equals revenue minus cost. You should know that already. So, and how to solve them, you're gonna have to know that. But as far as memorizing the equations, I will give you the equations. All right, look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.